Good morning, I'm Prarambha, Dahal. Let's begin with the main stories. Risk of floods and inundation in Kailali and Kantipur decreases with the stoppage of incessant rainfall. Some of the victims of inundation return home. Landslides obstruct Erniko and Koshi highways. More than 33 billion rupees released from the state fund yesterday on the last day of government account closure. Situation of budget of capital expenditure and revenue collection feeble. Russian President Vladimir Putin hosts Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi for informal face-to-face talks at his residence near Moscow, fixing India's trade imbalance with Russia among Modi's priorities. And Spain to clash against France in Euro 2024 semi-final. The last four matchup to kick off in Munich at 45 minutes past midnight Nepal time. Victims of inundation have begun returning to their homes in Kailali and Kantipur as the incessant rainfall has now stopped. According to Kailali Chief District Officer Dharmendra Kumar Mishra, those displaced by the monsoon have begun returning to their home following improvement in the weather condition. Most of the 150 families displaced in Bhazani and Tikapur municipality and Kailali rural municipality of Kailali have already returned to their home. With improvement in the weather condition from yesterday afternoon, water level has also decreased in the rivers. Death toll due to flood has reached 4 in Kantipur. According to Kantipur police, 15-year-old Srijana Bogati and 16-year-old Lakshmi Bogati had died after drowning in Punarwas municipality ward number 5. Body of Arati Bogati, who had gone missing, has also been recovered. A baby of 7 months had also died after being drowned in Krishnapur municipality ward number 1, Paharia. Villages had been inundated after the swollen Dodai River had entered human settlements in Kantipur. More than 4,000 individuals have been displaced by floods and inundation in Kantipur alone. According to Chief District Officer Narayan Prasad Sapkota, of them around 24 are yet to return home. Risk of landslide has increased in several parts of the country amid incessant rainfall. The obstruction of roads had made human movement difficult as well. The road section between Muglin and Nagdhunga under the Prithvi Highway, which is the main route to enter Kathmandu, is currently under obstruction. In fact, construction as well. With the onset of the monsoon season, the risk of landslide at various places of the road section has increased. The road sections in Chitwan's Fisling and Dhading's Jogimara and Golchi are at high risk of landslides. Those who travel through the route have been compelled to embark on their journey with fear and face hassle due to the obstruction of roads. Passengers have demanded making movement easier by repairing the dilapidated roads on time. Efforts are ongoing to clear the landslide debris at 50 km of Kavri district's Paskal municipality along the Erniko highway. The highway has been obstructed since 10 p.m. last night due to the landslide. Information officer at the District Police Office Kavre, Rajkumar Shrestha, informed that the landslide has obstructed about 200 meters of the highway. Due to the obstruction, vehicles and passengers traveling to and from Kathmandu, Sindhupal Chowk, Dolakha, Ramechhap, among other places have been affected. Meanwhile, the Mulghat Simsua road section along the Koshi highway has also been obstructed because of landslide. Dhankuta Police Office have informed that efforts are underway to clear the debris at Simsua and Ghate of Sanguri-Ghadi rural municipality. Monsoon-related diseases have started being reported amid relentless downpour across the country in the past few days. The number of patients with such ailments, including diarrhea, typhoid, fever, headache, jaundice, and skin-related diseases, have increased in recent time. Doctors have suggested to drink water after boiling it or after purification by adding chlorine. Likewise, people have been suggested not to consume stale food. Doctors have also suggested to wash fruits and vegetables with clean water before consumption. Consumption of unhygienic food and water, especially during monsoon season, can lead to various health-related issues. In this context, in our Public Voice segment, we have asked in several provinces what preventive health measures have they adopted amid the monsoon disasters. Let us now take a look at what they had to say.
मान्छेहरु बिहानैदेखि भोकै छन्, केटाकेटीहरु भोकै छन्। सामान्यतया नास्तासम्म खान नपाएको अवस्थामा स्वास्थ्यको ख्याल भन्ने कुरो अलि टाढाको विषय हो।
पिउनलाई पानी छैन यहाँ हामीलाई भन्ने व्यवस्था, खानलाई खाजा छैन, केही पनि छैन त स्वास्थ्यको त केही अहिले होसै छैन हामीलाई
झुल लगाएर सुत्ने बिना उजाला नहिड्ने तातो पानी तताएर खाने
विपदको बेलामा हामीले चाहिँ यो अनावश्यक यात्रा गर्नु भएन
पानी तताएर खाने अनि घरमा नै आफू प्रिपेयर भएर बस्ने घरमा नै घरेलु औषधिहरूको तयारी गरेर बस्ने
पानी चाहिँ एकदम स्वस्थ पानी खाने गरौँ पानी घरमै तताएर हुन्छ कसरी हुन्छ
कता छ ढिक कता छ खल्ला कस्तो छ अब त्यो पानीको कताबाट आउँछ बाढीहरू त्योलाई ध्यान दिनु पर्यो
स्वास्थ्य सावधानी हामी आफ्नै सुरक्षा गर्छौं अस्पताल जान्छौं डाक्टरसँग कन्ट्याक्ट गर्छौं
घरको छेउछाउहरू सफा राख्ने पानी जम्न नदिने अब साँझ सुत्ने बेलामा झुल प्रयोग गर्ने
बच्चाहरूलाई फोहोर पानीमा नखेल्न दिने उमालेर पानी खाने
अहिले त जटिल भइसकेको छ बाटो यहाँ घाटो हाम्रो अब अस्पताल जानलाई पनि धेरै गाह्रो छ पानी जाने चाहिँ रोगहरू झाडा पखाला लाग्ने यस्तो लाग्ने यो हैन यो जोगाहरू पर्ने यस्ता कुराहरू हुन्छ अब त्यसको लागि चाहिँ शुद्ध खानेपानीको व्यवस्था गर्नु पर्यो सरकारले चाहिँ शुद्ध खानेपानीको पनि व्यवस्था मिलाइदिनु पर्यो
बाटो घाटो चाहिँ बन्द भएको कारणले गर्दा आवाज जावतलाई चाहिँ एकदम समस्या छ यहाँदेखि धनगढी अब परदेशी अस्पताल भनेको धनगढी हो हैन धनगढी पुगाउनलाई चाहिँ एकदमै गाह्रो छ यहाँबाट
On the last day for the closure of the government accounts of the ongoing fiscal year yesterday, a total of 33,613.3 million rupees was released. According to the existing legal provisions, accounts of the fiscal years are required to be closed on the 24th of Asar as per the Nepali calendar. Budget can no longer be spent before the 1st of Shravan except for special situations. However, the ongoing fiscal year remained disappointing in terms of revenue collection and implementation of the budget. With the fiscal year about to end, development expenditure could not exceed 52%, while revenue collection has only reached 68%. Erstwhile Finance Minister Prakash Sharma, while introducing the budget, had said that improvement would be made on the budget system to increase capital expenditure, and a timeline was prepared accordingly as well. However, the timeline was not implemented. It is now time for our segment Public Polls, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Polls.
The question is, why has it been difficult to spend the budget for development even as the government has allocated it in no low amount? Your options are A, lack of capacity, B, plans not being effective, and C, procedural hassles. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C, and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Now, despite the end of risk of coronavirus or COVID-19, more than 1.6 million doses of vaccines have begun arriving in Nepal in aid. Now, despite receiving the vaccines for free, the trend of receiving anything for free, even after the end of its necessity, has raised questions on our intentions. 4 million doses of vaccines against coronavirus have been wasted in Nepal. The country needs to find ways of disposing these vaccines. However, in such a situation, donor agencies have provided more doses of vaccines that are not even necessary, while the government does not have any plans for their utilization. Risk of coronavirus no longer exists in Nepal. Despite a few cases, patients with normal symptoms recover soon. A total of 67.7 million doses of vaccines against coronavirus have been received by Nepal, either by purchasing or in aid so far. Most of the Nepali nationals have also been vaccinated against coronavirus. It is also why the risk is now microscopic. However, 1,100,160 doses of vaccines against coronavirus have entered Nepal since 30th June, while 500,000 more doses are to arrive in the coming days. The government is receiving the vaccine through Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance. The main question for the government on who would these vaccines be inoculated with persists. The government does not seem to have formulated any plan in this regard. These vaccines are not necessary at the moment as well. However, as the government has been receiving these vaccines, it has begun formulating plans for their use. The vaccines are being received on the basis of the commitment of Gavi during their shortage. However, vaccines were required back then and not now, and Nepal does not even have any plans for their use. This situation also raises questions on if the donor agencies are making Nepal a dumping site for the vaccines. Of the vaccines received by Nepal so far, 2.9 million doses have been wasted without being used. Many of them were not used before their date of expiry, while others were not used within a certain time of being opened from their containers. The government is concerned about disposing 4 million doses of Sinovac because of the expiry of date for use. And despite the vaccines against coronavirus now arriving in Nepal under aid, the government has not been able to communicate its necessity to the donor agencies, because of which unnecessary vaccines are being stockpiled. These vaccines will never come to use and resources will be spent in their disposal following their expiry. Time now for the international news. Russian President Vladimir Putin hosted Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi for informal face-to-face talks at his residence in Novo-Ogaryovo near Moscow yesterday. During the meeting, the Russian president congratulated the Indian Prime Minister for being recently re-elected and praised him for achieving results in the interests of India and the Indian people. The main part of Indian Prime Minister Modi's visit to Moscow is scheduled for today. The official Russian-Indian negotiations will be held both in a narrow and in an expanded format. The parties will discuss not only bilateral cooperation but also the international situation. A top Indian official said last week that fixing India's trade imbalance with Russia and securing the discharge of Indian citizens who were misled into fighting in the Ukrainian conflict would be among Modi's top priorities in Moscow. Modi reached Moscow for a two-day state visit yesterday. Meanwhile, the U.S. State Department said that Modi's trip to Moscow and India's relationship with Russia amid the war that Russia has been waging against Ukraine have raised concerns. Thousands of people have died on both sides since Russia invaded Ukraine in February of 2022. India, which has enjoyed a close relationship with Moscow for decades, has refused to condemn Russia for the war, instead calling for an end to the conflict through dialogue and diplomacy. Yair Lapid, head of Yesh Atid, Israel's biggest opposition party, said that he would lend Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu his support in parliament to keep him in office if members of the ruling coalition quit over a ceasefire deal. Netanyahu has authorized his officials to resume negotiating a possible deal with Palestinian militant group Hamas to end the fighting in Gaza and release Israeli hostages seized on 7th of October. Some far-right partners in his coalition have said they will quit if the war ends before Israel has eradicated Hamas and freed the hostages, an outcome that could bring down Netanyahu's government. Lapid said at a meeting of his parliamentary faction that he would give a safety net to Netanyahu if a deal is reached. Head of the Labour Party, Yair Golan, also said he would back Netanyahu on a deal to release the hostages. The two far-right parties in Netanyahu's coalition that are most implacably opposed to a ceasefire deal have a combined 13 seats in the Israeli parliament, while Lapid's party has 24 seats. The head of one of them, right-wing lawmaker Bezalel Smotrich, said that he will not be part of such a deal that he described to a complete failure. While lawmakers were holding their faction meetings, family members of hostages marched through the corridors of the Knesset, holding up photos of their loved ones held captive in Gaza in hope to pressure the government to seal a deal for the release of 120 still held hostage by Hamas. The death toll from Russia's missile attack on a children's hospital in Kiev, the capital of Ukraine, has reached 41. According to international media, the number of injured has reached 140. Russia launched a large number of missiles targeting several cities in Ukraine yesterday. During that time, the Okhmaded Children's Hospital in Kiev was also targeted. About 70% of the hospital was destroyed due to the attack. According to media reports, rescue operation is underway and rescue teams are still trying to remove debris from the damaged hospital. Health Minister Viktor Lisko said that cancer and intensive care units were heavily damaged by the missile attack. In the photos obtained from the scene, some children are seen sitting outside the hospital while being given saline water. Moscow has denied that the attack was carried out by it, and it is claiming that the incident happened because of the Ukrainian defense missile system. That is all for the moment. Our next news bulletin airs at 6 p.m. Thank you for staying with us. Have a beautiful day ahead.